Kia ora koutou. In this video, I'm going to show you how I can reduce my population down to just the two groups that I'm interested in for my comparative investigation question. So it turns out this is really easy to do in NZGrapher, but you have to be really careful that you understand what you're doing, because we're still working at this level with the population, and then we have to go and do our random sample. So let's suppose that I've decided that I want to compare pugs and poodles and how tall they are. Right, so that means that in my data set, I'm going to have a whole lot of dogs that I don't want to have. So what we want to do with our data is we want to get rid of the lovely Staffies and Alsatians and Greyhounds. So that's my dog on the screen there, and she's just disappeared from the data set. In this video, we're going to look at how to do that. So it sounds like it's going to be hard to do that, but it turns out that if we use the sample button in NZGrapher, it's really easy. So I'm going to get out of this PowerPoint now. And we're going to again go over to Excel and get rid of the annotations. So here's my data set ready to go in Excel. So I'm going to Control C to copy all of those values over. And then I'm going to go Data, Import from Clipboard. And you just have to wait a few seconds while it does that. And you can see now that we've got all of those dogs in there. And we've got more than the ones we want, right? So we've got the Chihuahua, the Staffy, these St. Bernards. We're going to want to get rid of all of those. The way that we do this is that we go up to this button here, which is Sample. Now, that feels weird, but what we're going to do is we click on that top Sample button, and we just need to get rid of this little bar from the screenshotter. Right, and we don't want to go simple random sample this time. We're going to go sample by dog type. And what this lets you see is how many of each type are in there. So there are 1,597 Alsatians. We want to have 0 of those. There are 1949 Chihuahuas. We want 0 of those. We want to get rid of all the Dachshunds. We want to keep all the poodles, right? So here we're going to type in 1569, and we want to keep all the pugs, 583. We don't want any more St. Bernards, and we don't want the Staffies. And then we click on the sample button, right? But we're not taking a sample here. We are, right, and then it takes a while to go. Right, so watch the screen, and it should, yep, you can see now we've only got the poodles and the pugs. And instead of having 10,000 in my population, let's see how far down it goes. It's taking a wee while. It should be about 2,000. Yep, and it is. So everything in the data set now is a poodle or a pug. Right, and then we're good to go. We're going to go and take our random sample. So now we go to sample, and this time we do want simple random. And we're going to put in 200, just as we did in the first video. Okay, and that's my sample of pugs and poodles. A couple of things to tell you. The first thing is, if it's all gone bad and you want to go right back to the start, you go to your data menu and you go reset. Right, so that reset gets me back to all 11,000 dogs, and I'm going to do this one more time to make sure you know how to do it. So to get down to two groups, we go to Sample and More, we click on Sample, and we choose the categorical variable that we're going to be using for our two groups. In this case, it's dog type, right? And I want no Alsatians, no Chihuahuas, no Dachshunds. I want all the poodles in my population, and I want 583 pugs, no St. Bernards, and no Staffies. And that is reducing my population to just two groups. Now, the reason I came back to this is it's a good idea at this point to just save that to your Google Drive or to your computer. So go download data, and it's going to prompt you, and you can see, hopefully you can see that it's come up with data.csv there. And I think that's going to open now. Yep, and we can see there we've got just the population of the poodles and the pugs. Okay, other things I wanted to tell you in this video quickly are that once you've got those two groups, then please do not go and start just deleting ones that look weird, right? So you might have some poodles or pugs or whatever you're doing in your sample, right? So they are interesting. They are not things to be got rid of, right? But every year someone tries to do that. The only exception to that is if you think that there's a poodle in there that weighs like 311 kilograms, you know that that's got to be a mistake, right? Like a poodle can't be that heavy and survive. So then you can remove it, and you can have a look at what impact that's had, and you can say that this has clearly got to be a data entry error, so that's why I've made that decision. But if you just had a poodle that was, I don't know, 35 kilograms, that could just be an incredibly overweight poodle. So you'd leave it in. And it's worth discussing. The other thing to remember is that hopefully earlier in the report, you've told us why you've chosen the median to do your comparison question on. And one of the great things about the median is that it's not going to be affected by unusual dog weights. So even if you left in the data entry error of the poodle that weighs 311 kilograms, it will have no impact on the median. It will affect the mean though, which is a reason that we tend to steer clear of it. What else did I want to tell you? If you want to make two new groups, you can also do that in NZGrapher. And I've got 8 minutes left in this video, so I'm going to do that now. Suppose that I want to do big dogs and little dogs. Then we can do that by going back to my full NZGrapher population, right? So I'm going to reset here, get all 10,000 dogs back in. And then I'm going to go up to the sample tab, and I'm going to do create new variable. And I think the one that I want is called regroup. Yep, it is. So there are lots of different regrouping things that we can do here, but I'm going to regroup on dog type. And so I'm just going to do big or little. So Alsatians, big, Chihuahuas, little, poodles, kind of little, pugs, little, St. Bernards, big, and Staffy, we'll call them big. Right, so I'm going to click regroup, and NZGrapher is amazing. It's going to put a new variable in there for me. Just takes a little bit of time. There we go. Okay, so look at that. You've got a new column in there. And now I could go ahead and do those two groups for my analysis. So I could do a dot plot and box and whisker, and I'd want to have a numerical variable that wasn't something that went with little and big, but I can go ahead and do my report now. Right, if you've got any more questions on not video things, on NZGrapher things, send me an email and I'll try and make a video or do some answers on Google Classroom. Thanks for watching, and do let me know if you still need help with this skill.